record this. So it'll be available. Okay, so this is going to be a recap on and our last slide for our last class. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and pose a question in the chat and take a look at it. So bottom line, we already know what the board is. The board, for governance reasons, is that they oversee the organization corporately. That's mean your fiduciary responsibility to make sure things are filed correctly with the local, state, and federal agencies, and the tax return. And also, you set the budget for the organization, and the executive director deals with the day-to-day and the staff and run the programs of the organization. Also, as a fiduciary responsibility, you're also responsible as a board directors is to fundraise or help with the fundraising efforts for the organization as well. The executive director also handles the volunteers. Another thing is regarding as a board member, you make sure that the organization get insurance. That is your insurance dealing with the hiscox.com. You can get general liability insurance, also property and casualty. So something happens to I start a fire here in the office and I damage the building. And from that building, I am insured as a business for the damage I cause in this office to my landlord. So they're covered. The copier here in the back, sometimes they want a name insured. So they just want to be named as a lien holder on the piece of equipment in the event that something happens to the copier, that they would get paid. So they might want their policy for that. So that's part of your policy. You just name them as insured. So if something happens, their lien is paid off. Same thing with furniture and everything else. Also, the board of directors have insurance as well on their services. So not only you have a general liability, maybe $2 million, you have an additional $2 million policy. Anything that they're not aware of, or if a child molester molests somebody and they get sued, this will protect the board member as well. So usually high-income individuals or people that have positions of power, they're going to want you to have that board liability policy to protect them. So that's an additionally to the general liability, if that makes sense. Let me go through the slide real quick. So where's my slide? In running an effective board meeting, pretty simple. On here is that you understand what the process and overview of the board itself. You're building relations at the bottom line. Kind of make some notes of myself. One thing you want to also do when you have these meetings, make sure you prepare an environment. You want to prepare for the meeting. You want to make sure that if you have things on the agenda, that's sent out a week in advance. And your expectation is that they read the information that you send to them, like the budget year to date, or the budget, or the materials. Make sure that's sent in advance so you don't have to spend time and everybody reading at a meeting the information that they're supposed to have read a week ahead of time. So a week ahead of time is sufficient time for them to read it, and you send a reminder 2 days before. Say, just a reminder, go ahead and read the materials that we sent so we can have more of a constructive conversation for that. Give me a second real quick. Are you seeing the slides? The slide? I can't tell from here, or it's right here.
No.
Okay, you see it now?
Yes.
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 Sorry about that. I have a huge screen. I have like a 49-inch screen. And it's kind of hard to tell where things are. It gives me a line. I had to find which tile that is. So Again, you just make sure that you prepare for the meeting, send in the agenda a week ahead of time with the materials you're going to have for discussion. And it's their job to read the material before you get to the meeting, so it make the meeting more effective. Number two, you send a reminder 2 days. Hey, just a reminder, read through the materials. We're going to be discussing this in length at the meeting. And when they get to the meeting, it's a friendly environment. You have some Christian organizations will have prayer before. You can put candles on the tables, flowers on the tables, give them snacks, make sure everything lined out on the table. So if you have an agenda, you have materials, the same materials that you sent, you want to make sure they have it in hand. And everything for the meeting is set for them at the table. And usually they will have at that table, certain people will just always sit in the same spot. You can put name tags. If they don't know who they are, you can put little name things for the table. Make sure they have a pen there. So you have a paper there, like a notepad. So you preparing everything. And this is what they usually do in large board meetings. Everything when they get there is prepared in a folder along with a notepad and a pen and the name at the table. So if everybody don't know each other, they can say who they are, call them who they are. And also you have snacks and drinks available as well. So as they come in, put their things down, you have snacks that's available, drinks. They can get that and invite them. You greet them at the door, so, as they come in, say, hey, just by the way, here's drinks, here's snacks or food, whatever, you have that ready. You want them to be as comfortable as possible. If it's on a Saturday morning, you want to have breakfast for them. So you can go to Panera Bread and get bagels and coffee for them, and bagels and their happy camper. Donuts is not as filling, but if you get some from Panera Bread, maybe pay like $50 for a container of coffee and baker dozen of bagels and have them split in half, toasted. I mean, that's filling. I mean, for 10 people, they won't be able to eat that as well. That's $50 for 13 bagels split in half. You get the top three. Make sure if you do get the something that has garlic in it, you separate that, or tell them to separate it because it doesn't taste good with cinnamon crunch. And things are calmer. You'll notice things are a lot calmer when they have food. Some would have eaten, but some will appreciate the environment that you have food for them. You let them know. If it's an even event, just go to Jason's. As a nonprofit, they have a nonprofit rate and get sandwiches or a spread that they can get food for. So they have to worry about on the way to the meeting is to pick up something to eat, say, hey, I have something for you, have drinks for them. You can even have this stuff delivered as well with advance notice. Don't call the day of. Call it, a few days before so they can kind of plan the route. Make sure those things are there an hour before the meeting. So if they run late, that, you still have time to get everything set up. You want to kind of treat it like an event or a retreat, if that sense, because you want people to be comfortable. Let's see. Also, you want to make sure that the facilitator facilitate the discussions. So number two on this is you want to foster collaboration, and it's up to the chair of the board to foster that, make everyone talk, get, you want to break in teams if it's something you need to discuss in little small teams, teams of two, or if it's just really just two teams or three teams, split them so they can talk candidly among each other so they can get that out of their system and come up with a solution and hear the ideas and come back as a group. Give them only 10 minutes, give them odd numbers. Don't give them 10 minutes because 10 minutes mean 15 and 20. You give them, say, hey, you have 7 minutes or 4 minutes to discuss this. Odd numbers work because they keep time better with odd numbers than they are with even numbers like 5 and 10 and 15, they think longer. It seems like the meeting is longer, but when you say, hey, you have 3 minutes, you have 3 minutes. If you have 7 minutes, you have 7 minutes. And set the time, you can set a timer if you need to, or a timer warning. Everyone is asked to participate. So you go around at the end of that discussion. Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? To make sure they're participating. So you want everyone input and their participation. It makes things a lot easier. So there won't be no ill feelings at the very end. If you have an agree to disagree, agree to disagree. Always set that, if they don't disagree with it, so they can accept it and move on. So that's part of the collaboration. Use technology, use televisions, take pictures at your board meeting, but use technology. Maybe you found a funny clip to start with. Play that clip at the very beginning that's funny, or something that really matches to whether that event is. Our discussion, where you find what I gave many of you guys from Masterclass. Those segments are short. They're usually less than 10 minutes. There's a few that is a little bit more detailed in 18 minutes, but use that technology, use your television, use your overhead. And again, when you kind of plan things out, make sure you have a notepad, big notepad you can put on the wall with a marker and mark things out, write it out so people visually can connect it in their ear and their mind so that they can absorb it. On your follow-up, of course, you want to get consensus. You want to make sure you have a very concise agenda. You send after the meeting, you send updates to people. Hey, this is what we agreed on. You write it up, you send it out so they can kind of make sure they take ownership. And that's what they do, is take ownership. So you want to have a working board meeting that you get things done very quickly and, no more than within 90 minutes. That is intentionally why I try to keep the class not for 3 hours. I try to get it done as much as possible within a 2-hour period or a 9-hour period. You have the morning, evenings, you're gonna need to wrap this up in 90 minutes. So you need to use that 90 minutes very carefully and get things done. And after every topic that you list for in the board meeting, you want to get consensus and get something resolved at that end, so it doesn't carry over and debate. Before we get to the conclusion part of it, you want to begin the discussion with the hardest. Some people will go with the easiest thing first to get it knocked out of the way and to leave time for energy for big things. Some people want to do the big things first. So it depends on your type of group. What are the big issues? I like doing small things first and then go to the bigger issues. But when I deal with small things that is going to be really easy, I like to knock those out, as quickly as possible. It's not an 8-hour meeting. You spend probably 15 minutes if it's something that's really simple. And so the energy can go straight to the head. They feel like they have things accomplished, then go to the big issues and talk about the opportunities and challenges that you have. And you want to come with a consensus at the end of how to resolve it. Especially if it's a fiduciary responsibility or a legal responsibility you need to do. And at the very end, in your conclusion, you want to ask everybody their opinion. What did you think about this meeting? You ask one by one. Hey, Sarah, what do you think? Hey, Susie, what do you think? John, what do you think? Matt, what do you think? What do you have to contribute? And so they can kind of leave on a good note that they all have been heard. Don't let the silent person just be silent, because you don't know what's on their mind. You want to know what's on their mind. And you provide the summary in your follow-ups, and you want the meeting to be focused and enjoyable and not stress like work. And again, at these meetings, you're building relationships, trust, and friendship. Lastly, before we get into evaluations, ideas, does anybody have any questions or anything you want to leave before I go take around the room, get people input?
Nothing on mine.
Okay, so You might get a survey. If you get a survey, of course, you're going to get 5 stars for me. Is it anything that is missing? Please reach out to me. So I did leave you my contact information. I will clip and paste it. You can email me at my nonprofit, and I'll respond to it. I don't check the email that often at Colin, unless I have classes coming up, or I get ready to do grades at the very end. So this is grades it's pass or fail. If you attend, of course, you pass the class and go into the next one. Trying to think what else. Masterclass. If you need a masterclass subscription, let me know. We'll do that before we get off the line today, so you have access to it. The next class is coming up. I think you have finance coming up. I think the CPA will go through the tax return, how to do financial statements. The next one should be grant writing with Dr. Linda Gray. And the last one will go over marketing. You'll talk about social marketing and things to market your organization. Anything else anyone can think of before we could do the takeaways? Okay, so we're gonna pick on, I guess we'll start with ladies first. Jessica, any one thing that you learned out of the class last 2 weeks that stands out?
Basically the roles of who does what, and I was really curious about exactly how meeting would work. So that was really good information for me.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and yeah, I got Miss Knapp. You got
Antonia.
How you pronounce that? I keep forgetting.
It's okay. It's Antonia.
Tanya. Oh, okay. So instead of O, is A, Tanya.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess for me, my take was just because, again, this is all kind of still fresh for me. It's more, I did get more of an insight on how you actually develop a board. So, like whenever I do get my nonprofit going, I know how to initiate that contact on building that board and what it needs to look like. So yes, I did get some of that from there.
Okay. Chris, thank you.
Yeah, I thought the class was very helpful for both the boardroom aspects as well as the volunteerism, especially you do a good job at making part of the volunteer part quite scary. So that's that's an important part for us to know about, those potentially scary situations. So I thought that was like very helpful to kind of like hear about the worst case scenarios.
Yeah, it's good to know. And those things happen. Some people join organizations to pray. So the only good thing about today is that people, now this stuff is up front and people talk about it. Before then, in the old days, they didn't talk about it. But now since things are more open, you have to have your organization prepared. You have to have your insurance for things to happen, and you know what to look for. So I just picked on the Catholic Church because I've been working for them, but they had everything across the board happen to them. So, but they had the best training materials available. So I just say, hey, let's take the material and use it for your own training. So you have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, good.
Cherie.
So the volunteering stuff for me, I already do, and I do that almost 40 hours a week in managing volunteers. So the whole board part, how to manage your board members, along with, I actually never thought about, oh, I need a board member manual. so that they have an expectation or understanding of really what's being asked and what's okay and what's not okay. So that was probably one of my biggest takeaways from this class is things like that type of a manual for your nonprofit and how it can keep it can keep you moving in the direction that you need to go, along with it. It takes out some of the vulnerability of what can happen even with your board members.
Exactly. And again, when you're dealing with federal and state governments, local, state, and federal, someone will ask for that. Because they're going to ask pieces of that and you can just give them the whole thing. And the manual, if you have like the diversity plan was a little different, I give you a copy of ours. They're asking for that now. So I tried to put everything that what people have asking for most recently ready for you guys. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel and look for something. At least you're aware of it and don't have to fish for it. We had to fish for some of this stuff because when we did community development block grant, and I remember submitting on my birthday in 2019 or 2018. Everybody's here at the office trying to finish it, and some of the stuff we didn't have prepared. We didn't have a conflict of interest or something. Something was 2 or 3 other docs we had to create that we didn't have. Other than that, you're a little bit more prepared for it, and also more prepared as you get into especially for the grant writing when you might have to submit certain things to funders. Other than that, that's really it. The finance class is coming up next week. Grant writing will be next, and a lot of stuff that we've learned, especially you're in the strategic planning, a lot of the information will carry on to the grant, so it makes you in more of a solid position for that. And the summer schedule is out here. Is it backwards? I guess you just look in the mirror. I don't know if it's showing backwards on mine, but it might be forward with yours. But you can see there is classes starts again. If you miss one in this next 3 weeks, well, 6 weeks, you can take the other class during the summer as well. So other than that, I really appreciate you guys in class. Again, if you need to reach out, feel free. Text me or whatever.
Thank you.
Tim.
Appreciate these classes, Tim.
Okay. Look at that. We got finished in what? 27 minutes. But that's other than that, if you have any questions to ask me, I'm here. Now you guys can take off.
Are you going to send the link to the meeting, to the recorded meeting and the slides?
It's on my it is on my YouTube channel. It's my first name, Tim Jacquet, on YouTube, and I'm going to post it there under probably nonprofits or something.
Okay. And then the slides, you'll email it?
Yeah. Put your email in the chat, and I'll just clip and paste and do it right now. I just put this together in probably the last 30 minutes. That's why it has no color. I say, hey, let me just do this how to end it. So and I will better yet, I can do the slides right here. Give me 1 second. Download. And let me see, you can attach this. Well, okay, I'll just go ahead and send it to you in a few minutes. Yeah, put the emails in there and you will get them in a few seconds. So other than that, that's really it. I really appreciate everyone in class and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank
Same to
you.
you
You too.
guys.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Mhm.